Hi students, this is just a short lecture to go over the upcoming assignment, the collage assignment. So I'm going to go right ahead and get into it. You'll find it, of course, in the course content. It's in Unit 1, and you can see that the due date is coming up. So you go into the lectures, first things first. I want to make sure that you are going over the lectures each week since we're not meeting in person. So obviously the first lecture is already posted from last week, and then you're going to be watching the Elements of Design lecture, and then I'm about to post the Principles of Design lecture. It might already be posted depending on when you're viewing this. So make sure you watch both the Elements of Design, which is a little bit longer, so I apologize about that. There's a lot of elements, and then the Principles of Design lecture as well. Before you start the assignment, I recommend looking at those first. Once you've gone over both of those, as always, you are supposed to watch the lectures and go through the material before starting assessments. The Intro to Art folder with the PowerPoint, the Elements of Art, and the Principles of Art. These are two PowerPoints that I want you to make sure you go over. They are similar to the lectures, but a little bit different. They more so give you just definitions, but the lectures are nice because then I can actually elaborate and make points about specific artworks, hopefully to supplement these kind of bare bones PowerPoints that I also have posted here. Reminder, there's always supplemental videos as well that you're expected to look over. So basically, a lot of these are rather short. There's key ones that I actually bring up during lecture, like the linear perspective one. You're expected to go over that, to actually watch that. And then, of course, if you are interested in the one about Polykleitos and his sculpture, the Doryphorus, this one actually talks about proportion, which is a key design principle. So those are two, in addition to kind of the regular, rhythm, value, color, this and that. So those two, just to note, make sure you look over those as well. And once you've gone through all of that, then you'll go into your assessments folder. And the collage assignment is posted right here. If you click on it, it'll actually bring you to the Dropbox. So you can see the due date here. And then if you click View Rubric, it'll actually show you the rubric. This is how I'm going to grade it. So it's expected, when I'm grading, that you have your outline, for instance, because of course you're going to have to cover all the principles and elements. And so that makes it so that, outline is one, implied line is one, shape is one, space is one, perspective, atmospheric perspective, actual texture, simulated texture. Color, and it goes on and on, it goes through all of them, and then at the very end, each one is worth 1 point. If you have the incorrect or are missing the definition, or you're missing the image, then of course you get a 0. If you have the correct definition, but the image doesn't really work very well, blah, 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 you'll get a half point, and then if everything looks great, you'll get a full point. And then of course there's 2 points at the end for clarity of design. So if I have a hard time reading it, if you've got messy handwriting, you can always print out definitions too and glue them onto your collage. But if it's messy and I can't figure out what goes with what, then you won't get full points for that. So that's basically the rubric. And then if you want, it kind of shows you what you should be looking at, how it should look. But there's also an attached file, and this is where you're going to actually find what you need to do specifically. So here's the instructions. Open the assignment file above and read the instructions. So we'll do that in a second. Use the rubric, which I just went over, to make sure that you have all the formal elements and principles of design. And then you'll submit a clear photograph of your finished collage. So what is a collage? Well, let's take a look. I probably should have opened this beforehand. Okay, so I think I have to switch my screen sharing. Sorry, this always takes me a minute. Okay, so now I should be sharing this screen correctly. This is the document that you're going to end up opening. And I'll try to make it a little bit bigger, not too big. So here's the art appreciation collage. These are the formal elements. I just asked you, what is a collage? So I do have the definition here. It's a piece of art made by sticking various different materials such as photographs or pieces of paper or fabric or whatever onto a backing. This is just kind of your typical collage definition. So that means you're going to have to work creatively with this assignment, which can be super fun. So what you're going to start with is by clearly writing or typing out on a word processor, the definitions for 10 formal elements. So it's important to note that in the PowerPoint, as well as in the lecture that I posted, I do talk about more than 10 formal elements of design, but I want you to specifically focus on the key ones that I bring up. So you'll look to the PowerPoint and the lecture and you'll find the definition for outline, implied line, shape, space. You can choose either positive space or negative space. You're not just supposed to have space. Please use positive space or negative space and show me how you see it in the world. Linear perspective, atmospheric perspective, actual texture, simulated texture, color. So for color, I want you to choose one of the following, and I go over all these in my lecture, and they're also in the textbook as well as the PowerPoint. Complementary colors, monochromatic colors, or analogous colors. And then the last element that you're going to look at that you're going to find the definition for will be time and motion. And of course, this is covered in, I believe, PowerPoint's book and the lecture. So find those definitions. And once you've found all of them, and you'll also do this for the principles of design, and that's other lecture, unity, variety, scale, proportion, symmetrical balance, asymmetrical balance, emphasis, and rhythm or repetition. So actually, you'll basically choose whichever one you want. I kind of go over them as being the same thing because rhythm can be created by repetition, and repetition can also seem like a rhythm in an artwork. So you can choose either one of those. And now what you're going to do is make your collage. So once you have your definitions, you've written them out or you've typed them out, you'll make your collage by looking through magazines or catalogs. If we were in person, I'd bring a bunch of catalogs and we do this in person, which is super fun. But you're going to have to do it at home since this is online. So find and cut out examples of all these definitions. So how do you see these in the world? You can, I also am okay with you kind of doing a Google search, looking for images, but obviously I actually want it to be of something. I don't want you to type in like repetition definition and then just have like a picture of like a circle repeated 3 times or a sphere. That's kind of boring. I want you to actually find these things and make a collage and do it kind of in a creative way. So make sure that everything's going to fit in a 2-page format. So I recommend an 8 by 11 piece of paper, like a printing piece of paper, or whatever else you have. A different student asked if it could use poster board, whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to be huge. It should be big enough though, so that I can actually read all the definitions and see the images clearly when you take a photograph of it. You may use photographs you've taken. Perhaps you have some on your computer that you've taken. You can go out with your camera phone, if you have one, or just a regular camera, and go and take photographs, of the ways that you see these definitions in nature around you, and then print them off. You can use images from the internet, but just be careful there. Make sure you're not doing anything too boring. Make sure that you're actually finding images of stuff, and then finding the elements within those images and not just Googling pictures that show repetition, right? So be sure to print those out so that it can be cut and collaged together. I don't want you to make this online. I don't want it to be like a Word document that you scroll through. I don't like that. That doesn't actually show me that you've done any creative work with your hands. So make sure you print everything out, print out the definitions or write them out, and then arrange them as a collage. So they should be arranged, and I'll show you an example in a second. Tape your 2 pieces together. You know, it can be 11 by 17, 8 by 11, whatever you want to do. Using a glue stick or glue of some sort, glue them together, right? It's going to be hopefully a fun thing for you to do. Helpful hints: give your collage a sense of organization so I can easily find the terms. Remember, there are 2 points that will be given out for organization of your collage. Group elements on one side and the other. So I don't really want them to be all scattered. It'll be easier for me to grade if I have the elements on one side, principles on the other side. Everything should be facing right side up. So draw arrows from your definition to the image that fits it if it's not obvious. You can use highlighters or colored markers or something. Please no sparkling pink or silver or anything that's going to be difficult for you to photograph with a reflection. Don't laminate your work because then you'll have a reflection in the photograph. This project will take a little while, so don't wait until the last minute. If you work in stages, keep the cutouts in an envelope so you don't lose them, another tip, and have fun with it. Okay, so now let's go back to Blackboard. So here is the actual, I'll zoom in a little bit. Here's an example of a good piece that probably actually did get full points. So formal elements are on one side, principles on the other. You have a line, definition, and then highlighted. You know, you don't have to do that because it would be obvious to me that that's line because this was overlapping. And then you've got all the definitions here. And if it's not obvious, this person has also made some arrows to show me what goes with what. And just notice how the images overlap with the definitions, and this is a collage, right? They've been placed together in a formation and glued together in this way. So, and then when you're done with that, you'll take a photograph. Since we're not meeting in person, we'll be creating, you'll create a digital, you know, a photograph that you will then upload to the Dropbox, okay? Make sure that you use definitions from the PowerPoints. I don't want you just to Google random definitions because you won't always get a good definition. Make sure you're using ones that you learned in the class. Click on the underlined title at the top here to take you to the submission box. That's what we did a little bit earlier. I want you to post it in there as a JPEG or a PDF. Those are the best formats for me to make sure I can easily access it. And so you'll do that by midnight on the due date. And just in case you're not exactly sure how to do that, I'll go back to the Dropbox. You'll scroll down and then you'll browse your local files. So once you press browse local files, it'll bring you to your desktop and you can go ahead and find the file that you have there, any comments that you have, and then press submit. Please don't press save draft because that won't submit it to me unless you are not ready to submit. But once you're ready to submit, please submit it. And that's all I really have for you here. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I will be posting another lecture probably shortly. Thank you.